Hey guys, welcome to the Rock and Road Show. Guess what I'm going to do the show on today? A subject that blows my freaking mind. I'm about to tell you what I found out since we've been broke down after we got struck by lightning. Yeah, and it isn't very good. I didn't ever think I'd do a show on a subject like this. I didn't think I'd ever do a show about what I'm about to tell you today. So it broke down. I'm still alive. Lightning hit 6 inches from the gas tank, and I was sitting right there where it was because I had the back door open on that side, the driver's side. I was sitting on the back seat using my cell phone when it happened. So I'm 64. I have cancer. Don't talk about it very often. And I started this show when I first got sick 5 years ago. And I always thought, one of these days I might get old. Might need to fall back on something a little bit. Might need a little bit of frickin' assistance. Not a lot, a little bit. I'm not scum. I'm not a sponge. I'm not a clinging vine. I have worked and 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 worked my entire life. Sometimes 2 and 3 jobs at a time to survive. I've gone to school while I've gone to work at the same time. Always had some kind of little side business going so I could keep the bills paid, something. I wasn't a lazy bum, even though I had cancer 4 freaking times. So my mother died in the Mormon church, and I thought that they were one of the neatest, coolest little churches around on the Indian reservation. Yeah, she's buried out there in New Mexico dirt. I had to have the funeral at my house. There wasn't any place else to do it, so I had an old Victorian house, and that's where we had the funeral. And some of the nicest people I ever met were the Mormon church came out and brought food because they know I had no food for nobody. I was lucky to have a freaking house. That was in the early 80s. They brought food. They gave me a little bit of money. They gave me an invite. They knew how bad things were on the reservation. Some of the nicest people ever. I thought, this is great. You know what? I'm going to do this someday. But I'm sorry, I had to go to war. I had to have a job. There were no jobs on the Indian reservation. There are 2 things to do. You could sell drugs or be the law. That's it. That's all there was to do. I think it's still like that. So I joined the military, went to war. I come home, I had cancer the first time, but I was in Colorado. I've already gone over my 3 minutes. Watch out. So here I am, like this, with this situation going on. I got a hold of these scumbags, and all they have done is lie, run in circles, and be mouthy, hateful, and rude. It took several weeks before they even showed up. They didn't want to pray. I had to fight for prayer. Yes. They didn't want to give me this book. It doesn't even have a price in it, so it was mass produced, and it's a paper copy that they probably do in a back room. They probably tell the kids they're doing something good by doing it for free all day long, every day. I used to make books, so I understand. It probably cost them a whole, $2 to probably make this together now at today's prices, and they give it to them for free. I had to fight to get it. It ended up that they wouldn't even give me their names. Yeah, one of them was dressed in a t-shirt and blue jeans, and he wanted to talk about his career and puff himself up. They wanted to be rude. They gave me misinformation. They tried to talk to me like I was a complete flucking retard. F-L-U-C-K-I-N. My word, and it's legal. And I spoke to them and told them and showed them my stuff, and they shut the fuck up. Yeah, because I worked my balls off this entire life. And I didn't run around and puff myself up like a frog. And I didn't do it during a meeting. So they didn't give me any names, and they didn't make a follow-up. Ended up reading the book. And I continued to tell them, when you guys coming back? When you coming back? When you coming back? I told them I'm at the halfway point. I had the book done. Okay, I'm done with the book now. Nothing. I had to call Utah. I called Colorado. I called all over the place. I talked to bishops. I looked online and started searching. And I saw Reddit, and I got on Facebook. I read the Facebook stuff. I read Google. So the Mormon Church has been a POS since about 2016. They decided to just shut the doors, I guess. Yeah. And I guess they decided then, like the United States government, to start cutting off anybody who's alone and poor and single and weak and little and sickly, and just start cutting them off. Yeah. Welcome to planet Earth. And then it just went from there, and then we ended up having the CV-19 lockdowns, and the big year for doing the dump on people was right around 2021, which I find very interesting, because I'm going to end up doing a second show, and on my second show, I'm about to tell you something else I think is incredibly mind-blowing. This is what I think. About what DHS and the food, it's food debit, for Christ's sake, grow the freak up, is doing to people, and cutting off all the grants and the loans and the money and the care and everything, the medical. I'm about to tell you that on another show, because I'm finding out that the two, I think, are tied in. And the whole thing's kind of weird, kind of funny. I'm not a conspiracy person. I am a journalist. I've been a journalist every day, every single day for 15 years now, over on Facebook and True Social. 15 years. True Social wasn't there. Yeah, I know. I started an F-book. I had the largest website in the world. I had over 90 million views a month. That's more than ABC, CBS, and NBC put together, all three. It was the first one to run 24/7. It wasn't Alex Jones. It was me. It was my show. I did that. So I've got journalism. I read it. I know people. People send me stuff. They send me films. They send me actual documents. I've seen stuff and posted stuff on Epstein long before anybody else. I did. I posted on a lot of stuff before anybody else. I think it's too much of a coinky-dink that the Mormons and the United States government seem to be very well tied together. And their attitude is exactly the same. And in part of that, right around the CV-19 time, it's even falling in with the lack of care for people that were children with special needs. And back in the day, we would call them retarded children, stuff like that. But they're called special needs children. They started getting cut off in 2021 also. That's another story. Back to these flakes. They've been picking out old people and telling old people to do things themselves. Yeah, in their own church. I've been reading about it online. One guy talked about how his mom was in the church for 50 years and needed some help with her utilities, and they told her she needed to take care of it herself. Yeah. They also don't have a bus or a minibus of any sort to help take people to church. When they came out to visit me, every time I try to talk to anybody on the phone about anything, their number one main question was this: "Are you baptized? Are you baptized?" I'm like, well, I don't remember anymore. I was a kid. Then they couldn't find me, and they just dropped me like a rock. I finally had a hard conversation with one of them. I said, what does it matter? What difference does it make? It shouldn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. Just think about today moving forward, not the past. If you can't find it, you can't find it. I don't understand why this is the big leverage. Well, I'm coming to find out that I'm in a place called Fort Hood, Killeen, Texas, and evidently they are out of food. They're out of water. They don't have what's called a missionary, they're the bishop's refrigerator or something like that, the bishop's cooler. Evidently, because I've also been reading on another platform called Nextdoor, which is a neighborhood app, and it's about people in the area, and they talk about every single thing that's going on. Well, evidently, in the neighborhood, they have run out of food for their own people out of their own refrigerator, which I find shocking, because in the 1960s, the Mormon Church bought grocery stores. They started out buying Kroger and Safeway and Albertsons and Dunkin' Donuts at one time. And in fact, they got involved at one time with Pepsi Cola. How do I know? I read it in the news in something called a newspaper. They were highly involved with every single form of food you could get near. But it's funny though. Have you ever seen a Mormon with dirty fingernails? Broken fingernails? Hard-working hands? Ever. Have you ever seen them work on a car? They weren't growing gardens, but they were buying grocery stores and water companies and soda pop companies, whatever else they could get. This all ties in. You know, it's awfully weird about Charlie Kirk getting killed in Utah. Yeah. And they're not helping anyone anymore. They have closed the doors. And one of the trick questions is, are you baptized? I'm like, well, no, but what difference does that make? Is it not your job to bring someone to that and help them? And evidently it's not, because none of them in Utah and Colorado and Texas on the phone can answer that question. I've called and talked to them. None of them. Most of their phone numbers are disconnected. Most of their emails were broken. I found only 1 or 2 phone numbers working in the whole United States. Yeah, I kid you not. They're all disconnected. Facebook, they're not answering. It's basically non-functioning. YouTube videos are dead. They're not even showing. They're shut off. And I think this has been going on since the CV-19 shutdowns. And I think it got worse recently after the United States government went on that 43-day vacation. I think when they went on that 43-day vacation, they cut people off of their income and their health insurance and their food, and saying, oh, it's because of the immigrants and the illegals. Yeah. I think that's when they decided to completely go inside their bunkers. That's what, because they're not coming out. They're not seeing anybody. Because for the record, I need to also tell you, I'm not a drunk, a drug addict, or a whore. And I never was. I was never a big druggie, ever in my entire lifetime. Yeah, I had some fun when I was cool and I was young in the 80s. I was a musician. Who didn't have fun? But it wasn't a POS. I'm more of a mauling Mormon than most these Mormons have ever met. Anyhow, they're not the church I thought they were. They're not the group I thought they were. They're not a church anymore. They're just a club, just a group of buddies and pals. And you got to be lucky to be already in it a long time ago. They have shut their doors even to their own, even to old people. It's all over the web. It's all over. They're not doing anything for anyone. So I've called the Catholic Church. They said they're coming and they're going to bring holy water. And I've called a Lutheran minister, talked to me on the phone. She was very nice. She said she's coming. I don't know. They said they were. That's what I'm trying. I've already been in touch with the VA, and of course that was a freaking disaster of nothing, like normal. That's just normal. You get nothing from the VA. But this. And so, I thought I'd let you know, because this is part of, I think, the Rock and Road Show. Because this was part of travel. This was part of being out. This was part of survival. And if you can't even rely on a church anymore, they don't even show up, and they lie to you and play games. And these guys came out speeding down a private road. Oh yeah, they sped down a private road and almost killed a family pet. And it was right near where the children's toys were. Yeah. And so they're what they wrote back to me in text form, which I can't show you, was, oh, but because of legal issues, they're not coming back out. I said, well, wait a second. You caused the legal issue. You need to get up off your butt and fix the legal issue. Blaming me, the person who didn't do it, isn't the right answer to this. Well, that's my show on this. I'm going to post and produce this out the best I can, because people need to know, if they didn't know already. And if you've already been through this, I guess just click and subscribe and love me more. I'm also still having a lot of a hard time selling on eBay. I don't know what in God's name is going on with eBay. When you type in the name of my store, it doesn't come up at all. Yeah. You can't even type the first word, tequila. Nothing comes up. Yeah. I think eBay has gone tits up, but they're afraid to tell people. I think they went completely broke and completely out of business. That's what I think. If you can type in, like, for instance, I have a bracelet for sale. It's Lander Turquoise. You type in the word Lander, mine doesn't even come up. Yeah, at all. So I'm going to move my stuff and try to get on TikTok. But TikTok doesn't look like it's running very smooth. It was real complicated to get on, and their stuff worked right. They had to bounce me through anyhow, even though their sign up was broken. And there's other platforms to get on now, and you can pay to be on them, and they will push your stuff out to other platforms. It's called multi-listing, but you're going to end up paying all those fees. That's a lot of fees. And if you're not careful, you could end up spending $50 to $100 a month. Yeah, to try to sell one item. Then there's Sotheby's, of course, and Sotheby's now wants $500 up front for whatever it is. Doesn't matter. $500, yeah. And I'm not going to do Sotheby's, I don't think, because I've got stuff that I could probably get on there and still sell. That's a tremendous amount of money, and that's ridiculous, and I've done most of the work. Yeah. So back to these guys. They're fruitless. They're POS. They don't show up. They don't follow up. They don't give you their names. They hide their names even when you call them on the phone. I've even told them that. I said, I don't understand why you're hiding your name. Y'all want to know my name, but you won't give me yours. So what's up with that? And I'm the one that's single alone by myself. I'm a little old lady with something to lose. So what is the deal? As far as I'm concerned, they're not Christian. They're not nice. They're not open. I had to fight for the prayer, fight for the book, read the book alone by myself, and continue to do the follow-ups alone by myself. They didn't bring food for Christmas. They didn't bring it for Thanksgiving. Yeah, nothing. They didn't do anything they said they were going to do that I know that they used to do. Because I know that they used to have a way to help people, especially old people like me, I am now. And they had an old person's, as senior services. They had I guess they called it a welfare program. I don't know. But they don't have it anymore. And all the phone numbers are disconnected. All of them. And when you call up now, you get somebody weird in the temple in Salt Lake City. They claim that's not their job. They're not doing it. You call, you get a hold of a bishop. He claims he's not a bishop anymore. Yeah. I just had a conversation with a guy in Utah like that. He was very nice, but claimed he was no longer a bishop. I'm like, okay, I didn't ask him what he did. I said, are you still in the church? And he said, well, yeah. And I'm like, so I don't know. I think I also read that they have lost half of their flock. Half in the last few years. Half, 54%. And I can believe it because they're already own grocery stores and they're telling their own people their lockers are out of food. The local people are saying they went and there was nothing there. Well, what did they do with it? And why didn't they grow a garden with those two hands? Because isn't that what Joseph Smith was teaching? Or was he just like the Muslim, the Quran and the Koran guy? What was his name? Muhammad? Or I don't know. It was just another setup to make money, a giant cesspool and a rolling ball of money making. Is that what it was? Really? I think that's what I'm coming to find out. That's my idea on this. Don't hate me, don't get mad at me, don't send me a bunch of hate, don't click that you don't like me and all this other stuff. I'm just telling you what happened. I'm telling you what I read. I'm telling you what I went through firsthand. I'm telling you what I found out. I'm telling you what I used to know is not compared to what I know now. And this is plain simple fact. It is what happened. And you can do your own show on what's happening with you and all your wonderful holidays you just had with your buddies and pals. And wherever it is you got your food. Yeah. And that's it in a nutshell. And I have special treats for this book. Yeah, because they haven't even bothered to get back with me, and I don't think they're going to, and I don't think they're going to come out for a visit, and I don't think they're going to behave themselves when they do come out. I don't think they're going to stop lying, making fun of people, making shit up. Yeah, that's what they did to me in Killeen, Texas. I think it's called Ward 1 or Ward 2. I don't know. Who cares, right? So I'm around here. I tried to do a show today with people's mouths shut, and I can still hear people's mouth open, and I'm trying to get a show done. Well, that's it. I want to let you know. And as for the other churches, I'm going to find out because it's on the list. I don't know what else to do. And I thought this would be my answer my whole life. I did. I thought this would be the way to go. And I finally moved into town. I wasn't living way out in the boonies any longer. Yeah. I'm living in town. And I thought, yeah, finally, right? and can't even get a ride to church. Oh, you know. Don't forget to click and subscribe. I need all I can. These are going to be very interesting shows every single time I do a show, guys. If you look at my old shows, you'll see I never have a boring, stupid show. And I'm still kind of on eBay. It's called Tequila Sun Trading, all one word. And I'm trying to spread that out throughout the web. It's really hard to find my stuff now on Google too. I don't know what in God's name anybody's doing anymore. It's a mess. It's a disaster. And I think these guys are involved with the U.S. government. I think there's more stuff going on than we ever even thought of, besides the Charlie Kirk thing. There's too many coinky-dinks, too many synergistic coincidences between them and the U.S. Gov. Because I'm going to do another show on what's going on with the government cutbacks, because I found out a lot of mind-blowing stuff on that too, and that needs to be said also. And this is just some mind-blowing stuff. You can't depend on these guys anymore.